Welcome to day 188. We are in Psalms 92 through 97, and I want to say that today is really all about God. If you haven't figured that out in these Psalms, then you probably should reread it. So let's get at it. Let's talk about some cool things in His court. We talked about being in His court yesterday. You know, one day in His court is like 1,000 days. Better than 1,000 days anywhere else. Chapter 92, verse 13, it says, talking about the godly, for they are transplanted to the Lord's own house. They flourish in the courts of our God. So they are transplanted to the Lord's own house. Transplanted, meaning from here to there. They flourish in the courts of our God. Flourish. You're in court. And if you're a godly person, you're flourishing in the courts of God. What a wonderful thing not to be afraid of. Okay. Something more attributes about God, descriptions and names about God. That's pretty much what this is all about. So let me just read these things that stuck out to me. 93 verse 2. Your throne, O Lord, has stood from time immemorial. You yourself are from the everlasting past. The everlasting past. Think about that. Before the world began, before the universe was made, before creation, the everlasting past. He was there. A name for God, the God of vengeance. We always waiting for God to take vengeance on our enemies. 94, 1 and 2. O Lord, the God of vengeance. O God of vengeance, let your glorious justice shine forth. Arise, O judge of the earth. O judge of the earth, another name. God, give the proud what they deserve. And I pointed that out because we talked about pride. The wicked don't understand because of their pride. Pride is their downfall. And it says, give the proud what they deserve. And of course, God's going to give the wicked what they deserve. I love this verse. I talk about this once in a while with people that are like, how can God know our thoughts? Well, the Bible says so. 94:11. The Lord knows people's thoughts. He knows they're worthless. I mean, God's perfect. He doesn't need our thoughts. He doesn't need us. He loves us. He wants us. He wants us to know Him. Our thoughts are just pretty much worthless to Him. But He loves us. And definitely the wicked people's thoughts are worthless. So there's a verse about Him knowing our thoughts. What an awesome thing. If the Bible's not true, then we don't need to worry about anything because it's all over. And if the Bible is true, then we need to understand He knows our thoughts. Bad ones and good ones. Another name, 95:1. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Let us shout joyfully to the rock of our salvation. Awesome name for God. Description here, 96:6 here. I think it's, let's see here. Yeah. Honor and majesty surround Him. Strength and beauty fills His sanctuary. Okay, so here's the description here that is amazing. Honor and majesty surround Him. Okay? Honor and majesty. Think about that. That's what's around Him. Something we can't see. Honor and majesty. We can't see that, but that's what is around God. Okay? What a cool thing to think about. We have finite minds, and it's hard for us to understand heavenly things. Things that John got to see and Daniel got to see. Hard for us to understand this type of thing where we talk about honor and majesty being around Him. I want to talk about, back in 95, I must have missed this part of it, writing in my notes. 95:4, He holds His hands, in His hands, the depths of the earth. Again, understanding something heavenly. He holds the depth. The depth. Think about that. You can't hold depth. But that's my finite mind trying to understand. We need to accept certain things that right now are inconceivable or impossible to us, or unimaginable. He holds the depths of the earth and the mightiest mountains in His hands. That's pretty cool. Verse 6 and 7 of 95. Come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker, for He is our God. We are the people he watches over, the flock under his care. Okay? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Last two things here. This is something I always like to talk about when I find it. Something really cool. 96, 12 and 13. Let the fields, think about this now. We're talking about things that we can't understand or inconceivable. Let the fields and their crops burst out with joy. Now, is that joy that we understand? Is it just them producing crops? Who knows what that really means, but I'm going to take it for what it says. They burst out with joy. Is it a sound? I'm not so sure. Let the trees of the forest sing for joy. Think about that. Sing. They're actually saying to sing, making sound. Singing is making sound. Trees making sound. I love to point those things out because it's something beyond our understanding. And that's what God is. God is the God of the impossible. God is the God of the inconceivable, the unimaginable. He can do all of that. Verse 13, before the Lord, for he is coming. He is coming to judge the earth. He will judge the world with justice and the nations with his truth. So think about that. Judging with justice and truth, something we are lacking today. Now, the last thing. Chapter 97, verses 2 through 5. Descriptions of God here. Dark clouds surround him. He has honor and majesty around him. Dark clouds surround him. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne. Fire spreads ahead of him and burns up all his foes. His lightning flashes out across the world. The earth sees and trembles. The mountains melt like wax before the Lord of all the earth. So understand this. The mountains melt like wax before the Lord of all the earth. Understand, there's a whole lot in here we could unpack, but you got dark clouds surrounding him. Fire goes out before him. So a good example of that was when he led the Israelites through the wilderness and out of Egypt. He had the pillar of fire before him and the pillar of smoke before fire before them so they could see at night, and pillar of clouds before them during the day. Okay, so and mountains melt like wax before the Lord. You know, people think in the end God's going to wipe out the mountains. We talked about the mountains being thrown into the sea and leveled, and the highest mountain in the world will be Jerusalem. So how does that happen? They read stuff like this and they say, oh, it's going to be nuclear war all throughout the earth and everything's going to melt. Well, I don't think a nuclear bomb levels all the mountains of the earth. I mean, you're talking about annihilation of the whole earth. That's what would have to happen. And that's not what's going to happen. God himself is going to do it. So things to think about and wonderful things. I'm going to end on a good note here. Verses 11 and 12. Light shines on the godly and joy on those whose hearts are right. May all who are godly rejoice in the Lord and praise his holy name. That is us, people. That is us. And though we may suffer sometime, and God allows suffering, he is there with us. He sees us through it. We also must give praise to the Lord, the Almighty One, the God of the impossible. That's what we need to do, and all day long, and think good thoughts of those things. Okay, that's your day 188. See you tomorrow.